It started with a siren, a single, haunting wail piercing the still air of a quiet European suburb. In moments, mothers grabbed their children, soldiers locked eyes with duty, and traffic lights blinked uselessly over emptying streets. Above, the roar of jets began to fill the sky. The television went black. Cell phones buzzed one final emergency alert. In the chaos of the first strike, the world changed. This wasn't just another diplomatic fallout or a border dispute. It was war. And this time, it wasn't confined to trenches or foreign deserts. It was global. Everyone, everywhere was a target. For the average person, survival no longer meant food or money. It meant location. Where would you run if the world was falling apart? Or perhaps the better question is, where could you truly hide if WW3 began tomorrow? World War III has long been a shadow looming over humanity's collective psyche. Since the Cold War, governments and civilians alike have speculated on what such a conflict might look like. Unlike previous world wars fought with millions of soldiers and artillery, WW3 would likely involve nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, orbital strikes, and economic collapse. No continent would be immune. But while missiles fly and alliances crumble, not all corners of the world are equally vulnerable. In this cinematic dive, we explore the safest, most remote, and strategically ideal places to hide during WW3. Some are predictable, others will surprise you. Let's begin. 1. New Zealand, the doomsday capital of the elite. It might seem cliché, but New Zealand continues to top the list not just in internet theories, but in the real world. Billionaires like Peter Thiel have purchased land there, building high-tech bunkers under scenic sheep farms. But why? Geographically, New Zealand is isolated more than 2,000 kilometers from Australia and far removed from the main arteries of geopolitical conflict. It has fertile land, fresh water, and a low population density. It's not part of NATO, nor directly involved in major military blocs. In a nuclear scenario, it's likely to be overlooked by first-strike targeting models. Its self-sustaining agriculture and advanced infrastructure make it a stronghold for long-term survival. What's more, New Zealand has strict border controls, a high level of civil order, and minimal internal conflict. If you're lucky enough to get there in time, it might just be the best place to wait out the storm. 2. Iceland, the frozen sanctuary. Imagine being surrounded by glaciers, volcanoes, and silence. Iceland may be cold, but it's politically neutral, sparsely populated, and completely self-reliant in terms of energy. The island runs almost entirely on geothermal and hydroelectric power, ensuring independent energy security even if global grids collapse. Its remoteness in the North Atlantic, coupled with the absence of military installations, make it an unlikely target in any nuclear or cyber attack scenario. In fact, during Cold War simulations, Iceland rarely showed up on projected strike maps. It's a nation with no standing army, no enemies, and few strategic resources to exploit. A peaceful, renewable-powered island might just be the ultimate post-apocalypse haven. 3. Patagonia, the rugged refuge. Stretching across the southern tip of Argentina and Chile, Patagonia is a vast region of mountains, forests, and lakes. It's wild, it's remote, and it's one of the least populated places on Earth. In recent decades, wealthy investors and survivalists alike have quietly purchased land in Patagonia. The area offers clean water, farmland, and precious distance, from the chaos of the Northern Hemisphere. During WW3, the Southern Hemisphere might see fewer initial strikes. Patagonia has the added advantage of being surrounded by natural barriers. The Andes Mountains to the west, the Atlantic to the east, and a sparse road network that makes it difficult for large forces to penetrate. But it's not for the faint-hearted. Survival here requires resilience, knowledge of the land, and acceptance of isolation. There are no luxury bunkers, only the raw, quiet power of nature. 4. Bhutan, the hidden kingdom tucked between China and India, and the tiny Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan might not seem like a logical choice. But its remoteness and philosophical neutrality make it one of the world's most unique sanctuaries. Bhutan maintains a strict foreign policy of non-intervention. It limits tourism, controls its borders rigorously, and prioritizes sustainability over expansion. Nestled in the Himalayas, many of its valleys are inaccessible without extensive travel and specialized knowledge. Its elevation and isolation could protect it from the direct effects of war. More importantly, Bhutan's societal values based on peace, harmony, and self-sufficiency could allow it to maintain order and cohesion even in a global collapse. In a world unraveling, Bhutan might not be the safest physically, but it could be among the sanest spiritually. 5. Antarctica, the last frontier. This one sounds extreme, and it is. But Antarctica remains the only continent with no permanent residence and no national ownership. Governed by international treaty, it's technically neutral and mostly untouched by human conflict. It's not practical for most. Of course, the temperatures are deadly, the terrain inhospitable, and logistics nearly impossible without serious preparation. But there are existing research stations with supplies, communications, and survival systems. If a small group could reach one of these stations, particularly during the Southern Hemisphere's summer, it might become an ironic sanctuary. A frozen continent of peace while the rest of the world burns. 6. The Swiss Alps. Old secrets. In new wars. Switzerland is historically neutral, but beyond its diplomatic legacy lies a deep infrastructure built specifically for war survival. The Swiss Alps are dotted with bunkers, tunnels, and hidden fortresses, many of them from the Cold War era, many still operational. Switzerland has enough fallout shelter capacity for its entire population. Its mountains create natural barriers, and its government has contingency plans for large-scale emergencies. Combined with a strong economy and stable political system, this makes Switzerland one of the most prepared nations in the world. But neutrality doesn't mean immunity. Europe would be a likely battleground in WW3. Yet if you had no way to flee the continent, the Alps could be your best shot. 7. Underground cities. Cappadocia's echoes. Far beneath the surface, hidden in rock and time, lie ancient underground cities built to escape persecution, war, and famine. One of the most famous is Derinkuyu, in Turkey's Cappadocia region. Capable of housing over 20,000 people, it has ventilation systems, food storage, and strategic layouts. Today, parts of it are open to tourists, but many of these networks extend far beyond what we know. Engineers and historians have speculated that modern underground fortresses could be constructed in similar geological regions, mimicking the ancients but with 21st century tech. As global threats loom above ground, the idea of hiding beneath it isn't so absurd. In fact, private companies are already offering underground bunker installations in countries like the US, Canada, and Australia, complete with hydroponics and AI-powered security. 8. Remote Philippine Islands. Asia's forgotten fortresses. The Philippines, while not politically neutral, has hundreds of remote islands far from major cities and military bases. Many of these islands are self-sustaining, rich in marine life, covered in forests, and home to indigenous communities who've lived off-grid for generations. In a WW3 scenario, Luzon or Metro Manila might be targets. But an island like Batanes or Sibutu, tucked in the country's periphery, could offer survivalists a blend of isolation, natural resources, and community resilience. The downside? Climate vulnerability and limited access to supplies. But if war doesn't kill you, hunger might, unless you know how to fish, plant, and barter. 9. Northern Canada, the frozen labyrinth. If you're looking for a place where no one will find you, try Nunavut. Or better yet, the vast boreal forests of Yukon and the Northwest Territories. These are some of the coldest, most inhospitable inhabited places on Earth. But they're also far from global population centers, with no strategic value to invading powers. Indigenous communities in these regions have survived for centuries by understanding the land, the seasons, and the silence. For those with training and equipment, northern Canada becomes less of a trap and more of a fortress made of snow, trees, and the wisdom of survival. 10. Underground urban shelters, cities within cities. Let's be honest, not everyone can escape to Patagonia or Iceland. For millions, survival means staying in the city and finding safety below it. Cities like Moscow, Tokyo, and Seoul have extensive underground systems. Some have retrofitted old subway lines or Cold War bunkers to serve as shelters. In fact, during air raid drills, these systems become active networks for evacuation. Seoul alone has over 3,000 designated shelters, many equipped with rations and comms. While these wouldn't withstand direct nuclear strikes, they could protect against fallout, riots, and cyber shutdowns. So maybe survival isn't about disappearing to the wild. Maybe it's about disappearing beneath the chaos and waiting for the dust to settle. Final thoughts. In a world bracing for the worst, the idea of hiding might seem like weakness. But survival isn't cowardice, it's strategy. Whether it's a snow-covered cave in Iceland, a forgotten island in Asia, or a bunker beneath your feet, the real question isn't where the war will begin. It's where you'll be when it does. And maybe, just maybe, those who choose to disappear are the ones who will someday rebuild. If this video made you think twice about your own safety plans, don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore our next video. What will happen 24 hours after a nuclear strike? Stay curious, stay prepared, and above all, stay human.